Being joined by Julia Lee from Bell Direct to give us her views of what was moving the market. Julia, we'll ask you about Qantas in a moment, but firstly, just wanted to find out your thoughts on what we saw today. Look, there was a little bit of a pullback, wasn't there, for the share market, but overall for the week, a very good performance.
Right, it's not surprising that the Australian market has pulled back given the great performance that we've seen in the last week, the last 2 weeks, and even over the last quarter. We saw the Australian market pull back today and down by 0.6%, but overall for the week, it's been good trading. If I bring up the ASX 200 for the week, this is what it looks like, and you can see that we've seen some pretty decent gains, the market up by 2.1%. Overall, it was the property sector which was the standout area for the week. We saw the property sector up by about 5%, and in terms of the best performing stock, it was Macquarie Media, which gained 20% for the week, and that was on the back of talks about internalisation of management. Today on our market, though, we saw the big miners really leading the losses. We saw BHP down 2.2%. Rio Tinto did better than BHP, down by just 0.8%. But we also saw some sectors finishing in the black, and there seemed to be quite a bit of support for the financial, property and utility sector. But altogether, the market closing down 0.6%. All eyes now on the US market tonight, where it's quadruple witching hour, which usually means a lot of volume and usually some volatility as well. And that's the expiration of the index options and futures, as well as the single stock options and futures. Also in the UK, we see a rebalancing of the FTSE indices, and so that was mildly negative for our market, and traders were watching that as well today.
Now, Julia, just wanted to ask you about what we saw with Qantas shares, because yesterday they were down. Thought that was because of the oil price doing so well, but today outperforming. What's behind the strength?
We have seen some strength in Qantas' shares today, and it looks like brokers have been upgrading their forecasts on Qantas and becoming more bullish about the stock. We've seen RBS increase its rating on Qantas, and we've also seen Goldman Sachs JBWere name Qantas as its preferred stock in the transportation area. Also, Qantas seems to be doing well, whereas some of its competitors are in a little bit of strife. We're seeing Japan Airlines in some trouble, and it looks like Qantas, British Airways and American Airlines have gotten together to present a joint deal to Japan Airlines to help it out, and it looks like it's to try and counter a bid by Delta Airlines. So altogether, a pretty good day for Qantas, which is pleasing to see. If we have a look at Qantas's share price, this is in September, you can see that it's having a pretty good month. So it's trying to make up for its underperformance during the year, because in 2009 so far, that stock is only up by about 6%, so underperforming the market.
Just finally, Julia, we saw a bit of a pullback with those commodities off those highs and the big rally that we saw yesterday. What's happening there?
I guess with equity markets pulling back, there's a bit more of a focus on commodities as well, and overall it hasn't been good news for commodity-based stocks today. We also saw the Baltic Dry Index overnight lose 25 points to finish at 2,390 points. It does look like the average cost in terms of capsized vessels per day is below 30,000 a day, and that's the lowest in around about 3 months. We saw a peak this year in those rates at about 90,000. So it's a significant loss, and that's really because of the reduced demand for iron ore coming through from China in the last few weeks. We've also seen steel prices depressed in August as well as September, so that's a little bit of a concern. And usually this Baltic Dry Index, which measures international shipping, is seen as a barometer for global trade. We've also seen some movements in gold. Our gold miners not doing too well today. We saw Newcrest Mining down by 2.8%. Lahir Gold lost 3.7%. I guess the market's eyeing off the IMF, which has a meeting tonight about selling some of its gold reserves. So we did see the gold miners pulling back substantially, and of course that's been bad news for the Aussie dollar today as well.
Julia Lee, Bell Direct, always great to get your views. Thank you so much for that. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks, Roddy.